No breathable air, CO2 overload. Imagine stepping out onto the red Martian soil full of wonder, only to realize your very first breath might be your last. That's because Mars doesn't have air you can breathe. Its atmosphere is 95% carbon dioxide. Oxygen, barely a trace, just 0.13%. On Earth, you're used to 21% oxygen. On Mars, it's like trying to breathe in a vacuum sealed with poison gas. Without a pressurized suit and oxygen tank, you wouldn't just gasp, you'd collapse almost instantly. Your lungs wouldn't find anything to process, and unconsciousness would hit in less than 15 seconds. Death would follow shortly after. And it gets worse. The atmospheric pressure on Mars is less than 1% of Earth's, so even if there were oxygen, your lungs couldn't inflate properly. It's the equivalent of being 30 kilometers above Earth, higher than any plane can fly. Your blood would start to boil from the low pressure, and your body would swell, not like in movies, but enough to rupture soft tissues. The terrifying truth is that Mars doesn't just lack air, it actively kills anything that tries to breathe there. So, without artificial life support, your dream walk on Mars turns into a fatal encounter with an alien world that was never meant for human lungs. Atmospheric pressure is near vacuum. Ever wonder what it feels like to be crushed and ripped apart at the same time? Welcome to the brutal reality of Mars' atmosphere. Or rather, its lack of one. The atmospheric pressure on Mars is less than 1% of what we experience on Earth. That's not just low, it's vacuum level low. Step outside without a pressure suit, and your body would instantly rebel. Your blood doesn't boil because it's hot. It boils because the pressure is too low to keep it liquid. Saliva on your tongue? That would start bubbling too. Your lungs wouldn't be able to function because there's nothing to inhale. Even if you held your breath, which you shouldn't, the pressure differential would rupture your lungs from the inside. This kind of low pressure also causes water in your body to evaporate rapidly. Skin might keep you from popping like a balloon, but internal damage would be swift and fatal. You'd lose consciousness within seconds, long before you could appreciate the Martian view. Surviving Mars isn't just about bringing oxygen. You need to bring Earth's pressure with you, wrapped in a suit or sealed inside a habitat. Without it, the red planet doesn't just kill you, it does so spectacularly. Extreme cold. Think Antarctica is cold. Mars laughs at Antarctica. On the red planet, the average temperature is about minus 80 degrees Fahrenheit or minus 60 degrees Celsius. At night, it can plummet to minus 195 degrees Fahrenheit, minus 125 degrees Celsius. That's not just uncomfortable, that's instant frostbite territory. Step outside unprotected, and the cold wouldn't just nip at your fingers, it would seize your entire body. Your skin would freeze in minutes. Your breath would crystallize as it left your mouth. Any exposed moisture, like the water in your eyes or nose, could freeze almost instantly. And unlike Earth, there's no thick atmosphere to trap heat. As soon as the sun dips below the horizon, temperatures freefall with nothing to hold them back. Even during the day, with full sunlight, Mars is still freezing. Solar panels work, sure, but heating your shelter becomes a full-time battle, and the thin atmosphere offers no insulation, meaning any warmth you generate quickly disappears into the void. Surviving on Mars means building homes like fortresses, airtight, pressurized, and thermally regulated. Without that, you're not just cold, you're frozen, immobile, and very, very dead. Mars isn't just cold because it's far from the sun, it's cold because it wants you gone, and it has the chill to prove it. Radiation exposure. If the cold doesn't kill you on Mars, the radiation might. On Earth, we're protected by a magnetic field and a thick atmosphere that shields us from most of the sun's deadly radiation. Mars has neither. It's basically a naked rock floating in space, bombarded constantly by solar particles and cosmic rays. Without proper shielding, your body would be exposed to levels of radiation that are dozens of times higher than what we experience on Earth. Prolonged exposure can damage your DNA, destroy your immune system, and skyrocket your risk of cancer. In short, you'd be slowly cooked from the inside out, not in hours, but over weeks and months of exposure. Astronauts on Mars would need to live underground or inside heavily shielded habitats, possibly built with Martian soil or water walls to block the radiation. But forget taking a stroll outside without a suit. A few hours in direct sunlight could dose you with more radiation than a chest X-ray every minute. And here's the kicker. Even during the journey to Mars, astronauts will face high radiation levels. Mars isn't just trying to freeze you, it's trying to irradiate you. Out there, space is not just empty, it's dangerous, and it's glowing with invisible death. Dust storms and toxic soil. If you thought Mars was just a cold, empty desert, think again. It's a desert with attitude. And that attitude comes in the form of planet-wide dust storms and soil that could kill you. Let's start with the storms. Mars is home to the largest dust storms in the solar system. These aren't little gusts of wind, they can engulf the entire planet for weeks. The wind itself isn't very strong due to the thin atmosphere, but the dust, that's the real threat. Fine as talcum powder, it gets everywhere, into machinery, suits, filters, lungs. It's clingy, abrasive, and potentially electrostatically charged, great for shorting out electronics. Now, the soil. Martian dirt isn't like Earth's fertile ground. It's packed with perched laurets, salts that are toxic to humans. Ingesting them or even coming into contact over time can mess with your thyroid and nervous system. And if you tried to grow food in that soil without treatment, congratulations, you've just poisoned your crops. Surviving on Mars means not just building shelters, but sealing them like submarines. Because every time you step outside, you're walking into a storm of sharp dust and standing on ground that's chemically hostile to human life. Mars is not your backyard. It's your worst camping trip, on hard mode. No liquid water on the surface. You can survive without food for weeks, but without water, just a few days. And that's a problem on Mars, because there's no liquid water on the surface. Sure, we found signs of frozen water, lots of it, buried beneath the surface or locked up in polar ice caps. But liquid water, not a drop in sight. Mars is simply too cold, and its atmospheric pressure is so low that water can't stay liquid. It either freezes into ice or instantly boils into vapor. So if you poured a glass of water on the Martian surface, it would vanish before it even hit the ground. And no, licking Martian ice isn't a solution. That ice is often mixed with toxic chemicals like perchlorates, making it unsafe without serious processing. Any hope of hydration means hauling massive water supplies from Earth, or building complex systems to extract and purify ice deep underground. Water isn't just for drinking, it's for growing food, generating oxygen and regulating temperature. Without easy access to it, long-term survival on Mars becomes a logistical nightmare. On Earth, water flows freely. On Mars, it's a frozen, hidden treasure, and finding and using it safely might be one of our biggest survival challenges. Crushing isolation and psychological strain. Imagine being stuck in a small metal can, millions of miles from home, with the same handful of people, for years. No fresh air, no green trees, no oceans, no real-time phone calls. Just silence, routine, and endless red dust. That's life on Mars, and the isolation could crush you long before anything else does. Human beings are social creatures. We're built to connect, to explore, to feel grounded in familiar surroundings. On Mars, all of that disappears. You'd live in confined quarters, staring at the same walls, dealing with the same people, day after day. Every message to Earth takes up to 20 minutes to reach you, so forget about live chats with friends or family. Even help in an emergency is months away. This kind of psychological strain isn't just about feeling lonely. It can lead to depression, anxiety, irritability, sleep disorders, and even dangerous conflicts among crew members. In extreme cases, it could compromise a mission. NASA studies isolation on the International Space Station and in simulations like high seas in Hawaii. But Mars is next level. It's not just remote, it's emotionally alien. In the end, surviving Mars isn't just about the science, it's about the mind. And that might be the hardest challenge of all. Gravity issues. You might think lower gravity sounds like fun, leaping higher, carrying heavy equipment with ease. But on Mars, that fun quickly becomes a serious problem. Mars has only about 38% of Earth's gravity. At first, it might feel like a novelty, but over time your body would start to fall apart, literally. Our bones, muscles, And even our cardiovascular systems evolved under Earth's gravity. When that constant pull is reduced, everything starts to weaken. Muscles shrink, bones lose density, and your heart doesn't work as hard, so it starts to slack off. Astronauts on the International Space Station already experience these effects in zero gravity, and they're only up there for a few months. Now imagine spending years on Mars. Then there's the unknown. We don't fully understand how long-term exposure to Mars's gravity affects human development. Would children born on Mars grow normally? Would they ever be able to return to Earth? Exercise can help, but it's not a perfect solution. The longer you live in low gravity, the more your body changes, and the harder it becomes to return to Earth without serious medical complications. So while Mars may be lighter on your feet, it's heavier on your health. Gravity isn't just a force, it's a lifeline.